I'm at 226 Sherman Avenue in Hamilton, Ohio. We're doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, bellies, or low spots, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. The access point is a floor clean out in the front of the basement, right underneath the gas meter, right by another little door. I'm assuming probably goes into the a little concrete room under the front porch, maybe an old coal room or something. Usually these type of clean outs limit the access a little bit because they only go out towards, and this one is the same way. If you look down in it, it's actually a sweep, meaning that it'll force me to only go downstream, which prevents me from inspecting the pipe under the floor in the house. There is a stack in the bathroom down here. There's like a pedestal raised bathroom and toilet, and there is a stack in there, but that stack does not have an access on it. It just has Ferncos. It does look replaced with some PVC partially, but just kind of want to make you aware of that it is the access is limited as far as further back in the line. So it does look like there the cap does need to be replaced in this on the clean out here. There's a expansion plug in here, and it is not it's basically rusted apart, and so you're going to have to get a new one here. So far I am completely underwater here, and I'm not sure if this is due to a backup or if this is due to a sunken line. So, looks like a buildup of toilet paper here. Maybe that's why. Yeah, that's a lot of toilet paper. Jeez. So what I may do is try to run some water and then see how far back, because if I can, I may have been pushing that the entire time. We'll see how much, to see if I can keep my camera above. I may have to put a piece of equipment on there, just a little standoff or something to raise the camera head up a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll go all the way out. We'll see what we can inspect based off of the footages. Get a look at the line, and then on my way back we will hopefully be able to take a better look at it, and then if I have to put a standoff on there to get a better look at those spots, we'll see what we can do. It is pretty short distance to the main here. We're at 54 feet, and you can see all the water coming behind me. So I may have kind of broke that loose. Where that huge pile of toilet paper was, or this is a shared tap, because there was quite a bit of water there coming behind me. But at any rate, we are at the manhole, or at the main, and so I'm going to try to pull back and we'll inspect as much as possible. I want to make some notes as far as the material. Yeah, you can see that I'm thinking that may be what happened, is that that huge chunk of toilet paper was kind of holding water here, and just goes to show you, until somebody takes a shower or something, sometimes behind those big large chunks of toilet paper they can hold back a good bit of water. So That's why we always tell people to not use wet wipes, because that toilet paper would eventually disintegrate down to nothing, and would have loosened up and then taken off down the pipe. Whereas in a lot of other situations, if that was a wet wipe, it would not break down. I mean, that's an awful lot of toilet paper. It's also a problem with the low flow toilets. But you can see as it's moving down the pipe. But yeah, it looks like there is a lot of toilet paper here. Jeez. Good news is that once it takes off down the pipe, I could probably flush the toilet here and make sure that that stuff all gets out, and then hopefully when I pull back, the line is drained, and we'll be able to see in that area a little better, and see if there's anything that was, causing that toilet paper to hold up. But that is an awful lot of toilet paper. Usually, kids usually do that. It's not uncommon. They use way too much toilet paper, but it's something to be aware of, especially with cast iron pipes. Cast iron is rough. On the interior here you have cast iron, and it's kind of like sandpaper at the bottom, so it will catch toilet paper and stuff a little bit easier. It's more prone to soft clogs, as we call them, which is just too much toilet paper, or again, those wet wipes are a big problem, because like I mentioned earlier, they don't disintegrate with water. Even if they say flushable, they're not. They still sit around way too long, and can cause buildup and backups. And so we always recommend that you don't use those at all. If you're going to use them, throw them away. Throw them in the trash. So I'm going to flush the downstairs toilet here, and just so we can kind of push some of that toilet paper out, and then we'll go from there. So we have flushed the basement toilet, and it'll take a minute for the water to get there. But then should notice that when that does show up, that it should push that toilet paper down the pipe a little bit. There it goes. You can see it take off. That's what we're looking for, just to make sure that enough water will push this stuff down the line. When you have that much toilet paper, sometimes it takes, like I mentioned, a shower or a load of laundry to get enough water in that line to shove it on down the pipe. But that looks like, if you can see how it's dropped, this looks like a repair was made probably out in the street based off the footage and how close it is to the main. This would have been clay, and now it's PVC. It has dropped a little bit because of the Fernco. They use a rubber coupling to connect, the clay to the PVC, since obviously you can't attach those two materials to one another. And so a lot of times when they backfill, it drops. And as long as the downstream side drops, which it has obviously, then it's not an issue. There's not a big, a spot where it's going to dam up. The water can just kind of fall over the downstream side, which is what you're looking for. Clay is a normal material for the age of the house. Biggest thing we usually see with clay is usually some root intrusion. It's the most common thing, but I didn't see anything on the way out. But of course, there was a lot of time where the camera was submerged. And I'm hoping that was mainly due to all that toilet paper just kind of damming up some water. But we go at about 30 feet. And having this water here doesn't mean it's bad. It kind of depends on how much water is there. If that's only an inch of water, it's not bad. But we'll have to take a look I'll have to get a little riser for my camera here to try to get a better look at it, it seems. And so we'll pull back and hope that, because it was like the first 30 feet were underwater. I don't see any indications of any backups down here, which is also, this is obviously a good thing, being that this cap is wide open. Like it's never would have sealed, so if it did back up, it would back up into the house pretty easily from this point, because there's just not a cap on it to hold it. So, but what I'm going to do here is I've made it back to the clean out, and so I am going to go get a little standoff for the camera, and so hopefully we'll get a little bit better look at what's going on here right inside the clean out for that first 30 feet or so where the camera is underwater. That camera is only about a half an inch off the bottom of the pipe, so it doesn't take much water to cover it, especially if it's a 6-inch diameter pipe. Even if it's an inch of water, usually not a concern. It'll overtake it relatively easily. The water rises up to the level it needs to, and then as long as it's holding water, obviously the water will rise up to the level it needs to and overtake that low spot, and then continue on down the pipe and take everything down. You can see by the way all the toilet paper is moved, it seems like it's moving fine, but we want to be able to get above that, try to get that camera above that water line so we can see. So I'm going to pause the video, and we're going to try to make a little adjustment to the camera here and see if we can see a little better. Okay, so attached a small. We only have enough room for a small riser here. We're going to try this first. See how far we can get, and see hopefully that this holds the water, holds us above the water, and that's what we're looking for. As you can see, the cast iron. And for a few feet, and then right underneath it here. And so we're just barely below that water line, which means it's a little bit more than an inch. Based off of what I'm seeing, though, it does look like there's a pretty good sized belly where the pipe has sunk. So I'm going to recommend that this be referred to a licensed plumber for evaluation. This does look like, I'm still at the same spot, and we'll see about how far back. About 30 feet. We'll see how far back this really goes. This looks like a pretty small belly, but then when you get back about 24 feet, and this isn't even flashing out. I can hear actually where it seems like the water may be breaking the kind of air pocket there, where it may be a pretty good sized belly. What's hard is that I can't really see what's going on there. I wish I could get a larger piece in there. So I'm going to see if I can get it, because it's, from the video, it's about 10 to 25 feet. So we got about a 15-foot spot where there's enough water where I can't see what's going on. And so we're going to make another attempt I'm going to make another attempt to kind of change out, see if I can get a little bit bigger riser on this camera and get a better look at it. So I'm going to pause the video again. Okay, got a little bit bigger one. It should fit through. Might have a little drag on it, but it should fit through. So hopefully we can get a better look. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we're still, that's probably about a 2-inch line there, or 2-inch belly, excuse me, because we're still above spot. So yeah, and I'm hearing, the way I'm hearing, it seems like I'm hearing a little bit of air catch, so it seems like it's pretty, at least in the center there, I believe that there's a belly that's, you know, well over half the diameter of the pipe, which would be at least a 3-inch diameter belly, or 3-inch deep belly. And here we are at that 30-foot mark, and then, excuse me. Okay, so this, we can see a little bit better here. It is about half the pipe in that spot. Again, from about 25 feet, this is really close even with this. So from about 10 to 25 feet, it seems like the worst here is at 20. I see a little bit of a flash, but we can't see. So I'd say it's at least a 3-inch belly. And I think what we're seeing here is some roots. I think we have maybe some root intrusion or something right here that may be holding it up a little bit, but it's really hard to see what's going on. Sometimes you can get a flash. There is some, I think that's just some grease buildup from that water line being held there for so long. I can kind of jump it and get a little bit of a view, but I think that's all that is kind of grease kind of building up on the side of the pipe. And so, at any rate, from 10 to 25 feet, there is a belly, and possibly, you know, a little bit of root intrusion. It's kind of hard to see. Like I said, I can't get the camera high enough, but there is things like hanging off the top. So, about 10 feet to 25 feet, there is a pretty large belly, at least 3-inch on the low spot. And so I am going to recommend that this be evaluated by a licensed plumber. To see if they can, you know, to see what their opinion is on the severity of that belly. There were no major solids sitting there, but that's probably where all that toilet paper came from at once. It's, you know, maybe getting to the point where, I mean, it looks like it's overtaking. There's no evidence of any backups down here. But you know, that's obviously an issue if you know, if things can catch in it. And so again, what I'm going to do is it'll be written up on the report as a medium to large belly between 10 and 15 feet on the video. And I'll recommend that a licensed plumber take a look at that and evaluate it for severity and possible quote of repair. It may have been here for a very long time, and there are situations, I mean, you have traps on all your fixtures, so it can overtake these things. And based off of what I'm seeing, it probably has, and there hasn't been any problems. But again, it just needs to be evaluated by a licensed plumber to get a second opinion on the severity. But the rest of the line was in good structural condition. It does look like the water is flowing freely, and everything is making it out to the main, but just need that little bit of evaluation or reevaluation to the from 10 feet to 15 feet or 25 feet, excuse me, on the video, and go from there. So that'll end the inspection at 226 Sherman Avenue in Hamilton, Ohio.